because a few of the people on the condominium board of this L Tower actually were sued for misuse of funds. In today's video, first edition of a condo building review. We're gonna get to it. Let's do it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtor back with another video for you guys here today. In today's video, it's going to be an edition of a new series, but before I get to that, as always, you can find my contact information in the description box with regards to my Gmail, my Instagram, and my office information. Feel free to get in touch with me with any questions you may have with regards to any topics covered in this video or any topics covered in previous videos. As well, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review if you happen to enjoy my content, find it informative, find it interesting. If not, feel free not to subscribe, not to comment. You're not obliged to do so, obviously. Do as you wish. But if you happen to enjoy my video, it's greatly appreciated. But enough of that. Let's get to the point of today's video, which, as I quickly mentioned, is the first edition of a new series I want to do, and I asked your opinion on this in my community tab in the past, and many of you were for the idea of a condo building review, wherein I take some of the most famous, some of the most populated, some of the most transacted, and some of the most overall popular condominium buildings in the GTA, mainly in the city of Toronto, often downtown, midtown, North York, wherever it may be. I take these buildings, I do a quick rundown of the basic facts, do a quick review for you, because at the end of the day, my main job as a real estate agent, I work with many condo buyers, many condo sellers, and I have a pretty good understanding of some of the best buildings, some of the worst buildings, some of the mid-tier buildings, and I just wanted to give you some feedback regarding, once again, the most famous buildings in the city of Toronto. And in certain occasions, we're gonna go all the way to York Region and Richmond Hill, even maybe Mississauga. For today's edition, it's gonna be 8 the Esplanade, otherwise known as and appears as the L Tower. The L Tower is another name for the 8 the Esplanade. If you're not familiar with this building with regards to the name or the address, you probably have seen it if you've walked downtown Toronto, or if you ever had to get off or get on at Union Station, or if you just like to walk around and drive around downtown, you've seen this building for sure in the skylight, especially coming from the west side of downtown Toronto if you're walking towards the east end of the downtown area. So some of you know it by address, and many of you probably know it by how it looks in the skylight and in downtown Toronto, and you most likely noticed it. Starting off with basic details. Obviously, it resides in the city of Toronto in the municipality of C8, which is in downtown Toronto. Downtown Toronto is mainly composed of C1, C8, and portions of C2. The specific community which this building belongs to within downtown, within C8, is C8 Waterfront. I know that can be confusing. C1 has its own specific named community, such as C1 Waterfront, along with other communities, Trinity Bellwoods, Little Portugal, Bay Street Corridor. And this is the same case with C8. There is a Church Yonge Corridor, there's other portions of C8, but this specific community is called C8 Waterfront. It was constructed in 2014 and opened up in 2015, but constructed in 2014 by Castle Point Realty Partners Ltd, which is most likely a holding company, but the developers are Castle Point. And the architect is actually quite a famous Danish architect that has done a lot of work around the globe. It might not be so clear from this L Tower here, but his work is mostly known for curvatures and jagged edges. Once again, this is his residential work, and it's probably the most toned down of his work. If you look up his work, where other buildings such as museums are more cultural buildings that are not quite residentials, especially he has a few in Europe, you can definitely see his touch and his specific approach to architecture. But nonetheless, you do see its distinctive style that you don't often see in the city of Toronto. It's located at the intersection of the Esplanade and Yonge Street and Front Street. So those are the two primary intersections which this building resides between. In total, there is about 57 stories. And in total, there's about 591 units built in this building. This building is quite close to the financial district as well, although it does not reside in the community best known for the financial district, which is Bay Street Corridor. I've made several videos on that community in the past. It's also very close to St. Lawrence as well. And it resides very closely to Union Station, about a 4-minute walk. And it's also very, very close to the Gardner and Lakeshore Boulevard as well. So safe to say it's very, very conveniently situated, and in terms of location, it's probably one of the best you will find in downtown Toronto. Now, before I go through the numbers, and as always, you can find the numbers section or any section of this video in the timestamps, let me go through a quick history with this building. There's some noteworthy items that we should discuss. For instance, off the bat, although this building was completed in 2015, one of the primary cranes that was used during the process of construction was actually not removed until 2016, obstructing the view of many of the unit holders of this building. And overall, it was something of an eyesore for many people, especially if you actually had a unit in the building. Now, one of the things that's always important with condominiums is the property management company and the condominium corporation. You see the financial and legal health of the condominium corporation you're speaking of. And back in 2018, there was actually an issue with some of the people on the condominium board of the L Tower. Now, since obviously condominium corporations are corporations, they have boards of directors, people who sit on the condominium board. And back in 2018, there was a bit of controversy because a few of the people on the condominium board of this L Tower actually were sued for misuse of funds by the residents of another building, which these people also sat on the board as well. So they were on the board of many condominium buildings, the L Tower being one of them. So this really shows us that when we're reviewing condominium buildings, it's not just a matter of the sales data and sales figures and seeing what the design is, what the amenities are. Condominiums, in a distinct way from freehold properties, you are becoming a member of a corporation. You have to see what the funds of the corporations are. You have to see if there's a special assessment, what the budget of the corporation is there any pending lawsuits. Although this was all the way back in 2018 and mainly with regards to another building, it does show you how vulnerable you as a unit owner of a condominium can be to potential misallocation of funds, whether intentionally done so or not, and how important the financial health of a given condominium corporation is to you. Now, moving on to the condo management company, which is something separate than the condominium corporation. Don't get those confused. And with regards to this building in particular, at best you hear average reviews of the condominium management company. There have been many grievances and gripes with regards to the security, with regards to the concierge. And here's the thing, when you do research on anything really, on a restaurant, to this condo building, to a car you want to purchase, it's good to keep in mind that it is pretty much a proven fact that people are more apt to go out of their way to express and write bad reviews and experiences than they are good reviews and experiences. That's not to say we have to discard all the bad reviews and experiences that people express with regards to, once again, anything you're researching, whether it's anything from a taco to a condo building. But you have to understand that humans naturally are more inclined to express negative views online on a review board or Yelp, wherever, than they are positive reviews. But many of these gripes and grievances do correspond to things I've heard from seller clients and tenant clients and landlord clients. However, cleanliness is not one of the negative things I heard about this building. I've shown many units in this building, both from my experience as a realtor working in this building, whether for sellers or buyers, from the testimonials of people online in my research and in my colleagues. It's very safe to say that cleanliness is not an issue with this building. Moving on to the numbers side of things. So far year to date, and by year to date, we're looking at obviously January 1st of 2021 up to September 5th of 2021 at the time of recording of this video. The average sold price of $808,000 and a median of $710,000. Now this building, believe it or not, once again, at least at the time of recording of this video and when I looked at the numbers, is experiencing somewhat of a downtrend. First and foremost, this average sold price of $808,000 for the building across all property types. However, obviously excluding parking lots for sale, or rather parking spots for sale and lockers for sale, because a lot of times realtors do accidentally include those sales in the data, and that really plummets the average. But so far in the same period, the average sold price of a condo in the area, once again waterfront C8, is $813,000. More to the point, when we look at the first half of 2021 versus the first half of 2020. So just taking a look at from the first month to the sixth month in both instances, we see an average sold price of $791,000 in 2021. However, in 2020, we were looking at an average sold price of $870,000. So about an $80,000 drop in average. Once again, the first half to first half. And when we look at the year 2020 in its entirety, the sale data of 2020 in its entirety, and this number is specifically as of a month ago. It's no longer as of September 5th. Now it's obviously as of August 5th. We saw an average sold price last year of $842,000. However, when we look at per square foot for this building, it is higher than the average per square foot in the neighborhood. Now, this is not my own numbers. I actually found this from a source. Here they define neighborhood, and I make sure to look not as C8 waterfront in its entirety, just the St. Lawrence neighborhood, which is definitely smaller and accounts for less transactions and less buildings than C8 waterfront at large. Nonetheless, as you can see, this building is still more expensive per square foot as compared to the neighborhood. Once again, the St. Lawrence area, not the C8 waterfront in its entirety, by a factor of $152. And this has been steadily the case in the last 5 years. But clearly, when we expand just from St. Lawrence to C8 at its entirety, we see that thus far, as referenced earlier in this video, this building has been experiencing a lower average than the area itself. In terms of maintenance, it's pretty on par with the area at large. Once again, these numbers are not from my own research. The earlier numbers were. As you can see, the average maintenance per square foot in this building is less by 7 cents. And in the last 5 years, it's been either pretty dead even or marginally less. Once again, it's only the St. Lawrence area. It's not accounting for C8 waterfront at large. Now to close out, and we're going to do so with my own professional opinion on this building, which is it's merely slightly above average, which is good. You know, I could point towards a lot of condo buildings in downtown Toronto, as I will do later on in this series, that are not average, they're not subpar, they're not mediocre, they're horrible. And in my professional opinion, slightly above average, anywhere from 60 to 69%. Speaking more so from an end user experience now. One of my main gripes with this building is visitor parking is quite difficult and it's not free for most people. And some of the 2-bedroom layouts in this building are quite suspect. Far more narrow than I would like them to be, especially for a 2-bedroom at a price point of anywhere close to $1 million. And as previously established, this building is experiencing somewhat of a downturn in market activity. Thus, putting everything together, the end user experience, the numbers, some of the gripes, some of the positives, I think it's very fair to say, and once again, this is just my professional opinion, that this building is a slightly above average building to a above average building. It's not anything spectacular.